What's going on, Trojan family? Welcome to the USC LAFB show. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud. Thank you, as always, for making this show a part of your day and hopefully your number one source for USC Trojan news. Got a couple good topics to get into today. Been a few days. Tonight, remember, mark your calendars. Tonight, 7 o'clock, live on the USC LAFB channel, YouTube channel. It's also going to be on LAFBnetwork.com. Our own Tim Prangley and the Madman will be live taking your calls. It's our live call-in show. We've done 5 now on the channel, so trying to grow that out and continue building that. So by the time we hit the season rolling, that thing is popping. We're getting calls all the time. It's a show we want to be run by you. So I pop in there every now and then. But for those of you who know Tim Prangley, he's fantastic, does a great job. So tonight, 7 o'clock, it'll be on our USC LAFB YouTube channel. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Helps us out, and then you get notified whenever we go live or whenever I drop a video updating you. As always, if you can, go to LAFBnetwork.com. Tons of USC content there, plus all of our other LA sports content as we cover all LA sports here in the great city of Los Angeles. So, few things to get into. One I'm a little late on, but I just want to touch on it. Chasen Johnson, again, in the transfer portal, commits to USC. Everyone kind of knows his story from December. I'll touch on that really quick. It's a few days old now, so I don't need to get too much into it, but do want to mention it. USC just today hired their new director of football sports performance after Benny Wiley was let go. I don't know if it was a mutual agreement, but moved on from Benny Wiley last week. They moved quickly and make a hire. And finally, quick update on the recruitment of Talanoa Ili, 4-star linebacker, originally from Orange Lutheran here in SoCal. Now he's moved out to Hawaii for his senior year. So let's get into it. First, Chasen Johnson. What a journey for this kid. And people are going to say a lot of different things. Chasing money. Ironically, his name's Chasen. But chasing the NIL deals. For those that maybe don't know, played at UCF. He was a true freshman, played at UCF, University of Central Florida. Enters the portal after last season in the winter-spring portal window. Ends up committing to USC. Was committed to USC for about 48 hours. Then flips his commitment to SMU. And all indications were, and I heard this personally, SMU really threw the bag. And so whatever you want to make of that. So kind of decommitted from SC, ended up committing to SMU for a little higher payday. Ultimately in January, I want to say it was January 6th, ends up leaving SMU and going back to UCF, where it all started. So he ends up back at UCF. Interesting saga, but he's there. Well, then the end of January, January 28th, Trevon Reed, his cornerback coach, is hired by USC. Now fast forward to the spring portal window. Chasen Johnson re-enters the portal and now has committed back to USC. So, again, people will say what they want to say. I never want to talk bad about any decision these kids make. And, I think there's some, not speaking about him specifically, I think there's definitely some decisions that maybe, these are still 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, and maybe they're being led kind of astray by whoever, parental figures, managers, agents. I think that absolutely does happen. We've seen it happen with kids leaving USC. We've seen it probably happen kids come to USC. It just wasn't the right fit or whatnot. This may have been one of those, but the more I kind of dug into it, it felt like here was a kid that played really well as a freshman, has a really bright future. He was a 3-star recruit, but really, shined last year with the tutelage of one Trevon Reed. And so felt that maybe A, he could get a little bit more NIL money. Why not? And B, maybe not necessarily more opportunity. He was probably going to start at UCF, but to go to a more premier program, maybe to put his name more out on the map. So that's where I think USC comes in. And to me, it seems like his heart really wanted to come here to LA, come to USC. Then, all the other figures come out, the big money that SMU offers, it's hard to say no, ends up making that decision. Well, then he's at SMU, and again, I haven't talked to him, haven't talked to anyone around him. This is just me inferring kind of my opinion on a young man making these decisions. I don't know if he talked to Trevon Reed or whatever, but we know now, Trevon Reed being here for 4 months, how great of a coach he is, how great of a motivator he is, how great of a recruiter he is. I still think one of the best quotes I've heard of a coach say was his introductory press conference when he was hired by USC, saying, I turned 3 stars into 5 stars and 5 stars into first-round picks. I mean, that is a legendary quote. So who knows if he talked to him while he was at SMU for a month or 2 weeks or whatever it was. But I think Johnson probably realized, like, man, I got a good thing going here. Coach Reed is a fantastic coach. Like, he's going to mentor me. He's going to develop me. Like, why would I leave that situation? That's my best path to get to the NFL. So then he goes back. It's around January 26th, if I'm tracking the timeline. Well, then on January 28th, USC hires Reed. So then it all kind of comes full circle. Seems like Johnson actually wanted to be at USC, and now his coach and mentor and the guy that he believes can get him to the next level is at USC as well. So then he enters the portal and comes back to USC, where he kind of wanted to be all along, but now he has the right coach that he wanted to stay with all along. So it kind of is one of those storybook endings. We'll see how it all plays out. But I think this kid is going to get probably, or he did for sure, back in December, get some, I don't know if he got any directly, but lashing out by fans and whatever. And, that's part of the way this sport goes right now. But I think it worked out best. And USC obviously is getting a really good player. I mean, this is another great, not just depth piece, but a young player that can contribute right away, but also be a potential starter in the future. And I think what's been really good about this transfer portal class, because it's obviously a lot less. I think they've technically lost. Again, I don't think these are huge losses that we've talked about a ton ad nauseum. But technically, I think they've lost 26 guys at the portal, and they've gained around 15. So that feels like, just from the outside world, like, oh, man, USC's really lost the portal. But I think what they've gained is, obviously a few older guys on the offensive line specifically, and defensive line, when you look at John Ray Reed and DJ Wingfield and Keyshawn Silver. But and then DJ Harvey in the secondary, older guy. But outside of those 4, and then a running back, let's say 5 or 6 older guys, and they've gotten a solid 9 or 10 underclassmen that are not just going to be 1-year rentals. 'Cause I think in the 3 years past in the Lincoln Riley era, a lot of the portal kids that came were really 1 or 2 year rentals. When you think of the Jordan Addisons, Bear Alexander, the hope was to be kind of a 2 to 3 year player. Obviously, that didn't work out. But you think of some of the other players that have come through the portal and been contributors from the start. They were upperclassmen last hurrah last year. And now this portal class is almost like an extension of the 2025 recruiting class in a way, for sure, the 24 class, because they're guys that have 3-4 years of eligibility. We're talking about true freshmen, which will be true sophomores next year, redshirt freshmen. So they're getting a lot of depth, but also players with the ability to really develop more. And you look at this secondary room, and obviously cornerback specifically, very deep room. And you look at what they're doing in the 26 class, obviously, with the elite DBs they're adding, just the top 3 plus, others, but just the top 3 right now in RJ Sermons, Albert Hill, and Brandon Lockhart. I mean, 3 blue chip corners just in the 26 class. But you look at who they have now, and you got to think, DJ Harvey, DeCarlos Nicholson, Prophet Brown will kind of be your slotted in starters. I've mentioned this before. I talked to both Dan Lynn and Doug Belk. They love rotating. They love keeping guys fresh. They love the versatility. It makes guys engaged in the game when they know they can go in at any moment. So I think that's very important. So don't get married to just like 3 guys being the starter. We've seen that last year, this kind of rotation of guys. But I think we can kind of pencil in Harvey, Brown, and Nicholson kind of as your pseudo starters. But obviously, I think Braylon Conley is going to make a huge jump. Marcellus Williams is going to make a huge jump. And so those are your kind of next tier guys. And then this like young class and ones we haven't seen, Isaiah Rubin from 24, Treston Castro, Alex Graham in 25, James Johnson. So then you have these young guys, these young pups that I think can actually contribute in a way if needed. And then you add in the transfer portal class, and I think you have a really good, solid depth and foundation moving forward. So, yeah, I probably talked longer than I was planning on, as I always do. But I think Chasen Johnson is another nice. I mean, when he first transferred in December, it was a home run. Everyone was fired up. It was like, great, DJ Harvey, Chasen Johnson, along with the depth we already have. Secondary's locked up. So I think this is a good addition, getting back to that in the secondary. All right, new director of football sports performance. You know, what day are we on? Wednesday? A few days ago, or right after the news of Benny Wiley going down, it kind of came out. I think it was it Chad Simmons? Or maybe it was 247. I can't remember. One of those sites basically said that USC was targeting, and I believe them, but they were targeting Indiana's Derek Owens, who is really thought of one of the kind of up-and-coming strength coaches in college football. Clearly, they were going after him because immediately he got given a 3-year extension and a nice little pay raise from Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers. So that one did not work out. USC then zeroed in on their next candidate, and they hired today Trumaine, Coach Carroll, out of Kansas State. I think this is a really good hire. Lincoln Riley had this. I'll just read his quote, what he had to say that was released to us in a press release. Coach Carroll's an accomplished strength and conditioning professional who has consistently trained his teams to compete at the highest level. His ability to develop players with an emphasis on a strong team culture has been evident throughout his career. He will have a tremendous impact on our program. We're excited to welcome Trumaine and his family to USC. So Coach True, he's a 19-year veteran coaching strength and conditioning. So been doing this a long time, but still a young guy. He played collegiately for Oklahoma State back in like 01 to 05, so not by any means an old guy. Really played there and then immediately got involved with his alma mater as an assistant. He's coached at Arkansas. He's coached at SMU. As I mentioned, he coached at Oklahoma State. He also coached at South Florida, excuse me. So, and then he's been the last 5 years at Kansas State. Here's kind of a fun stat about Kansas State. While he has been there, Kansas State is one of only 5 Power 4 teams to win at least 9 games in each of the last 3 seasons, including at least one conference championship. Remember, they beat Max Duggan and TCU, who was the 3rd-ranked team, still ended up making the playoff, but Kansas State beat them for the Big 12 title in 2022. It was the game after USC and Caleb Williams got injured and lost to Utah. So I always remember that game because we were in Vegas still and watching that one, and it was a pretty fantastic game. So now Coach Carroll joins USC. These are huge hires. Strength coach, is not as well known as obviously play callers and guys on the sidelines and guys recruiting, but they are the backbone of the program. They're doing all the dirty work behind the scenes, making sure mental toughness, making sure real toughness, making sure guys aren't getting injured, guys aren't, putting too much muscle mass that then they can get injured. It slows them down, which I think is what we saw last year, right? Like so much mass was added to the team, which was necessary. But then we saw players like Zachariah Branch be a shell of him, what he was his freshman year. He didn't have the same explosiveness. So maybe he put on too much mass. So that the strength and conditioning coach is so integral to the success of the program. And so this hire had to be the right hire. And I'm not going to sit here and say I know like 10 fantastic strength coaches and whatnot. So I'm not going to sit here and have like, oh, here's 5 names that were really solid. But from everything I've heard, everyone I've talked to, the response of Kansas State in the loss, saying how big of a loss this is for their program, I think this is a really good hire. So we'll see how it plays out. It comes at perfect time, right before the summer program begins. Coaches are out recruiting right now on the recruiting trail. And so he'll kind of get acclimated, get on campus, and then launch his summer workout program. And I'm sure he laid out his plans to Coach Riley and Chad Bowden and all those guys of kind of what his regimen is and how he wants to get this team fully prepared for week 1. And so, he'll hit the ground running right away. So, Trumaine Carroll, your new Director of Football Sports Performance for USC. I like the hire. Finally, You've talked about him before, but little update. Talanoa Ili, the elite 4-star linebacker, played at Orange Lutheran, so considered a local kid, but has since moved to Hawaii to finish out his senior year to be close to family. We saw, if you didn't see, I have it up on LAFBnetwork.com, so you can go check it out there, but both Coach Nua and Coach Ryan were out in Hawaii visiting him, hanging out with the family, looking like having a backyard barbecue. You love to see it. And other coaches do this. It's not like this is just USC doing this, I'm sure. But it shows the dedication to have two of your top coaches fly all the way to Hawaii to make this kid feel like a priority when just a year ago, I don't even think he was offered. And he even has said and has told On3 since Chad Bowden has come to town and been hired, it's changed everything. The emphasis on California recruiting, the emphasis on keeping these kids home, the emphasis of making USC the place to be and making it really difficult for local kids to leave. Like, when you're growing up, not even when you're growing up, just in general, right? Like, you want to be a part of something. That's what makes sports so great, which makes football so great, is being a part of a team, a culture, a program, something that's bigger than yourself. And other programs can offer this. I'm not saying they can't. But when USC is dominating California, like, you don't want to miss that. You want to be a part of it. You want to be a part of the California connection of, like, playing for your hometown, your home state, being the reason why national championships are won. And, like, you can go to Oregon or Alabama and have absolute pride in winning a national championship there, so I don't want that to get misconstrued. But there is something different about winning it in your hometown, for your hometown team. There just is. I think anyone from anywhere would agree with that. And so this newfound dedication to this, and I don't want to get long-winded because we've talked about it so much, but it's just so refreshing, and the recruits and the families are absolutely recognizing it. So it's a real thing. They're absolutely recognizing this little shift. And again, I don't think many people will say, well, why wasn't this happening before? I don't think Lincoln Riley wasn't recruiting California. I think, one, the resources allocated were different. Two, you didn't have this full front office staff. And three, yes, it was not the full-fledged attack and emphasis that it was. They were still recruiting California, but they were not as, like, we are winning California, like, no matter what. And now they kind of have that, like, blood in the water, shark mentality, like, no matter what, we want the top Cali kids staying here. So that's great. I thought a good quote, and I wrote this up on LAFB. You can check it out if you want to read the whole article. But Ili told On3, said, quote, "I am being patient with everything and taking it all in, but I am leaning towards USC. I'm going to do my due diligence, and I haven't made a decision, but USC is my leader. The Trojans way looks nice, so it's something I'm thinking about, but I still have a lot of other schools I am considering." You ask what other schools? Well, he's got a lot of official visits coming up. UCLA Bruins, the crosstown rival, on May 10th. BYU on May 27th. Oklahoma, a dark horse that I think has real viable shot to get him, on June 6th. Notre Dame, June 10th. Texas, June 13th. USC, June 17th. And he finishes out his official visits with Oregon on June 20th. So 7 official visits. So, it's not done yet, for sure. USC having the second to last visit certainly helps a little bit. But the fact that he straight up said USC is my leader right now means it's USC's to lose, right? So all these schools for the officials are going to do everything they can to sway him. They're going to be, full haymakers, throw in the kitchen sink. But as long as USC does what they've been doing and then knocks the official out of the park, we should see Talanoa Ili commit to USC sometime in July. Just my opinion. But they are the leader per his words. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on Johnson. Let me know your thoughts on Coach Carroll. Good to see another Coach Carroll in the program, right? This program was pretty good when there was a Coach Carroll within the program. And let me know your thoughts on Talanoa Ili and his recruitment, plus any other questions you have. That's all the time I got. I appreciate every single one of you. I always appreciate all the comments. I read all of them. I need to try to respond a little bit more, but I do read all of them. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let's keep this thing growing. If you have not already, head to USC LAFB YouTube channel. Hit that like and subscribe. That'd be amazing. LAFBnetwork.com is where you can find all of our USC and all of our LA sports content. LAFB Network is all of our socials, easy to find. And if you prefer audio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, just search Salute to Troy to find our USC, all of our USC show stuff goes into that feed. So, again, tonight, remember, mark your calendar, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Tim Prangley, the Madman, live call-in show. Bring your calls, bring your thoughts. Always fun to do the live call-in show. But I appreciate all of you. Have a fantastic week. I'll be back probably maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, a couple days. We'll see what happens. There's always news going, always popping. So I'll be back. As always, fight on.